your questions. Do we have more questions from journalists? Please raise your hand if you have a question to our speakers. Okay, then I give you some time to think on more questions, and meanwhile I want to ask Mr. Schmidt. So this is a big event, a huge event for Hungary. So what measures to promote this event at the national level have been taken?
Köszönöm szépen a kérdést. Ugye Magyarországon az elmúlt években egyértelmű törekvés volt, hogy minél több nagy kiemelt nemzetközi eseményt hozunk Magyarországra. Ennek az egyik oka természetesen, hogy Magyarország szeretné ezzel is bizonyítani és bemutatni, hogy igenis egy olyan ország vagyunk, amely képes ekkora események magas szintű megrendezésére, és én azt hiszem, hogy a tavalyi atlétikai világbajnokság, az előző vizes események ezt egyértelműen bizonyították.
Thank you very much for the question, first of all. And I would like to say that Hungary, for the past several years, have definitely been trying to bring a number of great international events to Hungary. And the reasons for that is first to prove and showcase that our country is actually capable of hosting such prominent events. Among these, we could mention, for example, the World Athletics Championship, as well as the various swimming events of the past several years.
A legfontosabb törekvésünk persze mindig, hogy a legmagasabb szinten lássuk vendégül a versenyzőket, a kísérőket, a sportvezetőket.
And obviously, our main ambition is to provide the top quality services and to host the various coaches, the federations, the personnel, as well as the competitors in our country at a level which is absolutely top-notch.
De emellett mindig célunk az is, hogy itt Magyarországon a sporteseménnyel együtt népszerűsítsük az adott sportágat, hogy minél többen ismerjék meg, és minél többen legyenek kvázi a hódolói, vagy ezt a sportágat űzzék is.
But obviously, next to our objective of organizing a very prominent and high quality event, it is also always the aim of Hungary to promote and popularize the various sports, the events of which we are playing host to, and obviously we want to familiarize as many people as possible with the various sports that the events of which we are hosting in our country.
És természetesen így van ez a sakkolimpia esetében is. Itt is igyekeztünk minél többeket megszólítani, és természetesen nagyon örülnénk, hogyha akik most részt vesznek az eseményen, elégedetten távoznának, és ez is vinné Magyarország jó hírnevét a továbbiakban, és hát természetesen pedig minél többen kezdenének el ennek hatására ebben a sportágban is tevékenykedni.
And obviously, we wanted to address as wide range of people as possible. We wanted to get to the public in a number of different ways, and it is also our objective to make all participants satisfied with our event and to sort of help them take Hungary's name to wherever they go home across the globe and to elevate the reputation of our country, and to encourage as many people as possible to engage in the particular sport that we are playing close to.
Thank you for the answer. Mr. Pojaski, follow up on what Mr. Schmidt has just said. How do you see this Olympiad impacting the young generation, the new aspiring players in Hungary?
Well, for us, this Olympiad has to have many successes and many important improvements in the sport, because first is that it may attract new people coming into the sport, especially in the young generation, because you are building the future, obviously. But our second goal is that chess is a kind of a hidden sport. You know, you don't see it as you see the football players in the stadiums. You cannot count the number of people watching the TV. So it is important that all those who already love chess show themselves and come here. So that's why we organize a lot of side events, and we are expecting many people to come, and we count them somehow, and then we can show to the decision makers and to the sponsors that investing in chess and following chess is a very popular thing, because we know that we are in great numbers, but the world doesn't know it. So this is also important for us, besides getting new people.
Mm-hmm. Next question is to Mr. Dvorkovich. So this event is gathering together like at least 180 countries, maybe more, will still join. So it's a global event with players coming from everywhere. It's a great way to showcase that chess is huge, chess is global, chess is for absolutely everyone. So my question is, what are the long-term goals of FIDE in terms of expanding the membership and making even more people play chess?
Thank you for this question, which is quite strategic, of course. And indeed, the Olympiads are our biggest events that gather almost all federations, and hopefully next time we will have all of those. The most likely number for this event is 185 countries. That's our projection if everything will go smoothly over the next couple of days. And this year we will still have quite a few events at different levels. I mentioned already a World Wrestling Championship in New York. Of course, we'll have the World Championship match in Singapore between the current world champion Ding Lichen and Gukesh Maharaj from India, the contender, and we are looking forward for this beautiful event. And also we'll have cadets, youth, veterans, amateurs championships throughout the next 3 months all across the world. And this is one of the ways we are trying to expand our presence and visibility, to put events in all parts of the world. So besides New York and Singapore, we'll have events in Brazil, on one of the islands in the Atlantic Ocean belonging to Portugal, one of the Greek islands, and many other places all around the world. So that's the way Italy, that's the way we go around to get more and more attention from the governments, from businesses, from local communities. The second thing is, of course, collaboration with online chess, online community. Our major platforms that serve chess players, chess.com, bchess, FIDE Online Arena, now ICC is coming back, and a few others. They provide good services to players, and we welcome those activities. And this is the way how to attract new generation of players into the chess world. And one of our ambitions is to put chess into Olympic esport games. The International Olympic Committee has announced just recently, with the first edition scheduled to take place in Saudi Arabia next year. So hopefully chess will be a part of that, and this will increase the visibility and popularity of chess as a modern game, not just a game of a few hundred centuries. Finally, our ambition is to make sure that besides the professional chess, besides the top level competitions, we cover societies as a whole with chess as a tool to improve lives of people. So educational chess, chess for people with certain physical disabilities, chess for refugees, chess for people who serve terms in prisons, unfortunately, after the mistakes they made in their lives, chess in slums, chess for people with autistic spectrum disorder, etc., etc., etc. And this is the social role of chess that we are trying to expand, and this is the strategic direction of the FIDE work, both now and in the future.
Thank you very much. Indeed, FIDE is like an octopus, right? With so many hands in different areas. That's amazing. Meanwhile, do we have more questions from our audience? Yes, please. But first, wait for the microphone.
Thank you. Walter Kastner from the Austrian Chess Federation, and I drive for social media and for our website. And my question would be to Mr. President Tokovic. You mentioned that you will go for esports Olympics. Yeah? In Olympics, it's usually the rule that for countries only players allowed to play with the citizenship. Yeah? Will FIDE make steps forward to input this into the rules that only players can play for a country that has the citizenship? Because now the situation that it is not like this. Yeah? Players can change the federation like other clubs. And the second thing is this is a matter of sportsmanship. Yeah? To take care of all events that we organize from FIDE fulfill really sportsmanship. Yeah? I like very much to implement this rapid team competition because I think it will be a big put forward. Yeah? But as a point of federation, I would say that what we have now, I cannot show to our country for fans and times like this. Because when a team can play, let's say, Malta and France, yeah, it is not connected to a country, not to a club, not to a federation. And so even when a team from Austria would win there, I cannot get any support from country for that. And finally, I must say what is maybe not clear at all, a great thanks to the organizers in Bulgaria. Yeah? We do not forget that they offer the accommodation for all teams. Yeah? And I think for many federations, this is like the biggest sponsor what they've ever. So thank you a lot for this big support for chess in China.
Thank you for your questions. So first, about citizenship. Well, I can combine actually my answer to both questions, since basically the answer is the same. As FIDE president, I personally believe that for us the priority is to protect the interests of the players. Not of, with all the respect, with the deep respect, not of administrative bodies, not political institutions, but players. And chess fans who are rooting for players. And they, the only thing they want to see is the players playing, rather than going through administrative barriers, trying to make sure that they can play. We should reduce those barriers, not increase those barriers. And we should find solutions that allow people to solve their problems without hurting their ability to play. Unfortunately, our world is not perfect. Many people have to move. And there are long periods of time when they do not have real connection with the country where they have the citizenship by different reasons, all kinds of reasons. But that should not affect their ability to compete, to play, to pursue their career goals. It's not a competition only of countries, it's a competition of players. For instance, I know that in many countries, in the national championships, it is allowed for players who do not have citizenship in those countries to play. It is allowed, according to the country rules. So why should we restrict these countries from having the players who are playing in their national championships to play for their national teams? That's normal. As far as I know, there are at least 3 dozen countries who have this rule that people with residence permits can already play in the national championships. So that's one part. Another part is yes, whether the refugees teams is a good idea for the Olympics. Well, we follow the example of the Olympic Games, the International Olympic Committee, that actually made this a priority now in Paris. Thomas Bach was speaking about the refugee team more than about any other subject at the Olympic session in Paris, where I was present, since he believes personally, and I agree with him, that even people who lost the chance to live in their own country should have the chance to compete in the Olympic Games. That's positive, that's not negative. Whatever the governments say, we are not the government, we are the International Chess Federation that unites people. We are a family. We are not a government institution. That's my strong view and strong position.
I'm sorry, but
Maybe I misunderstood some part of the question.
Because it is still a rule in the Olympic Charter.
Well, again, we are recognized by the International Olympic Committee, and we didn't have any complaints or protests from the IOC regarding the rule we used. As we understand from the legal perspective, they allow a certain degree of flexibility to recognized organizations, and FIDE is recognized sport federation by IOC. They allow certain degree of flexibility regarding this particular clause of the Olympic Charter. So we do not break any rules formally from the legal perspective.
I think we also had another question from that side. Can we? Let's first give chance to other journalists who haven't yet asked anything to ask their questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Ortasova. Good afternoon. I'm Ian Wilkinson from the Jamaica Chess Federation. Thank you for having us here. First and foremost, the President does thank you, but I also want to thank you personally. I have a couple of first observation. The opening ceremony, we got a notice that some persons couldn't attend, and I understand from some people that they didn't attend because we got a notice, and we wondered if there were space constraints, that there was just not enough space. We have been told there have been reports since the opening ceremony that there have been bigger opening ceremonies in terms of size of venue and the numbers of persons attending. This is not a criticism, but it's just an observation that for the closing ceremony, will there be a bigger venue? That's the first question for the closing ceremony. Will there be a bigger venue? And the second point is in relation to the opening ceremony. Traditionally, when we go to many different Olympiads, visitors to various countries, they like to see some cultural aspects like dances and so on, to see if the dances are different in various places. The singers were amazing. We enjoyed the musical performances. But for the closing ceremony, will there be a little bit more variety in terms of cultural offerings, like dances, without giving away any secrets? So those are 2 points I'd like to make about the opening ceremony, and a question for the closing ceremony. And my third and last point is, do you have a sports museum in Hungary? I'm not certain. And if you do, is there a section which is set for chess, so that this great chess history you have is there for visitors to see? Those are my questions. Thank you very much.
I think it makes sense for Mr. Koyaski to answer these questions.
Yes, well, thank you for these questions. Actually, the opening ceremony is over, but we can still talk about it. So all the teams got their invitations, and as you could see, there were many, many empty seats there. So I don't think that the sizing of the event was any problematic to any extent. I think it was a nice event, and we tried to get it brief because the general experience is that people find it boring if it is very long. So I found it quite a good opening ceremony with many empty seats. It's not because that some teams were not invited, but either they not arrived or they decided to prepare for their games or just rest a little bit. But I don't think that this is an issue. Regarding the closing ceremony, we are expecting all the players, all the captains, and of course also notabilities. Mainly it will include the prize giving ceremony because there is a very long procedure taking into account that almost 90 or maybe even more medals should be handed over, and you need time to walk out and give it and so on. But there will still be some show also, of course, to make it a good celebration. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions from those who haven't yet asked?
Yes. Well, first of all, I was happy to make the first move for the Jamaica team today. So, hope it will help, but it's a challenging game anyway. Second, yes, I'd like to see some dancing in the closing ceremony. It would be nice if you can.
I'm ready for that, Mr. President.
And third, yes, the calculation was made very simple way. It was capacity and then divided by the number of teams. So it gives the full capacity. Yes, some teams didn't arrive, but yes, there are certain, of course, there is certain capacity that every hall can take. So. I hope that there will be no complaints after the closing ceremony. Anyway, the length of the ceremony should not be too long, and I hope it's going to be this way.
So I don't see any raised hands from the new journalists, so let's take another question from you, and I think this will be the last question of this press conference.
Very shortly, Jürgen Kostyan from Shark Arctic. My question goes to Mr. Kotkovic. You explained the lack of seminar of the FIDE historical committee for the occasion that they wrote some books about historical things and make some photos, and that I saw the photos are very nice, but it is not, in my opinion, have really think about to make a special book about the Olympiad, because we have the 100-year celebration. Mrs. Anna Sova wrote a very, very nice book about the Dresden Olympiad.
Thank you.
A very fantastic book. I can absolutely recommend this book. Should be this a good idea, or we will discuss in the FIDE board about produce a nice book, a traditional old thing?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to have a book about this Olympiad, as about every Olympiad or all Olympiads. So we need to find an enthusiast who will do it, of course. But yes, that's a very good idea. I will certainly support.
You promise me to discuss it?
Yes.
I'm ready to write another book.
Yes, thank you.
Well, with this we conclude the press conference.
But also take some minutes to visit the exhibition here in the hall. If somebody didn't do it yet, there are some beautiful pieces of history in this exhibition, so just do it.
Yes, and actually right now, in some 5 minutes, we will have the opening of the very special exhibition in the exhibition area, which is dedicated to 100 years of FIDE. It's amazing, it has a lot of unique exhibits there. So our distinguished guests will open this exhibition, and we invite all of you to proceed there now and follow our media representatives to proceed to the expo hall and take part of opening of this amazing exhibition. And so far, thank you very much for participating, and see you at the next press conferences.